All right, everybody. Hey, my name is Rick. I'm playing around with Unix again, and we're going to talk about the tmux some more. I've got an outline here, and just given the amount that's here, this section on revisiting session management, it depends if we can get to it, we can get to it. But that may be for another topic. Although I don't really have very many more topics after this one. This one, to me, I think about it now, is probably the big one. We're going to talk about copy mode and how to do copying and pasting using tmux, which I think is unique and interesting, and something that to me is quite powerful. But it stems from this concept of scrolling. So we're going to set that up in a bit. But first, a quick word on this piece of high tech that I found. Keycastr is, as you can see here, it's an open source keystroke visualizer. And what I like about it, what I'm using it for, is that it will visualize when I type in the tmux prefix, which is in my case Control B. That's the default. So when I press Control B, you're going to see a little Control B here in this area. So I'm going to say Control B N, and that will, I'm going to say Control B N, and that'll switch to another window, Control B N, you get it, and so on and so forth. So this way you can see when I'm entering the prefix character. It does also display the other characters, namely if I press the Apple key and a tab, it'll press you'll see that keystroke here. So just pay attention to the area below. There's some configurations where it can also display everything that I type, every key press, but that I don't think is necessary. But if you have a Mac, this is open source. You can install it using brew, and I think it's pretty nifty. It's very useful. I worked for a while. I mean, I still do. I work on a Windows system primarily, and on this Windows system, I had found a program called Keycastr, which I now think must have been a successor of this one. And some programmer had figured out how to do this same display using this same kind of output using Windows, I think when I remember looking at that code, it was using C#. This is in Objective-C, but again, it's quite useful for what we're using it for. Namely, whenever I type Control B, you're going to see it. It's there on the lower left. And I think that's the only time that I'll need the browser, so I'm going to close it for now and make this just a little bigger. And there you go. You could see it. I did the apple and then the equal sign, which is to make this output a little bigger. So I want to talk about this concept of scrolling. And to do that, I want to first start with just a simple, I want to find a good color here. Yeah, okay, ocean. That's good color. It's different enough. I'm going to make it 34 characters, and yeah. So here I am in this directory. I will do a man htop, for example. I'm just putting some things here into the display tree projects. So there's this is a terminal that the Mac terminal that is running stock, as I call it, by default. There's no tmux running in it. Now you can scroll up, of course, using the touchpad, or you can grab, if you've enabled it, the thumb here, and you can scroll up. I think one compelling thing that's cool is that with scrolling, you have the apple up and down to cycle between the prompts. So remember, the prompt, I have it right now as this very simple %sign. For example, but if I do apple up, what you see is that the terminal highlights the previous prompt. And here there's no more prompt to go. So if you go apple down, you can then, now you might want to do this because maybe you found something that's of interest here and you want to maybe take a quick copy of it. Oh, this is interesting. I want to grab these pictures. I want to send them to people. So you press you press down on the touchpad and you just grab some lines, and then you can copy it to another directory here. I'm just going to cat this to like dev null. That wasn't it. Let me go back. Apple C to copy, and then Apple V to paste. So that's what you would use the scrolling and even this fancy up and down business, so that you can locate a spot that you want to take a copy of. But in all of that, what happens is that you have to move your hands off the keyboard. You basically have to resort to the mouse. And I mean, I have a mouse here. I have this Marathis, the Logitech M270 mouse, and it's pretty cool. It works on both my Windows and this Mac machine. But I was talking to a co-worker, a developer friend, and he said it's actually a little, for him, he said it's unnerving to remove his hands off the keyboard. It feels like it slows him down. And I remember thinking, that's pretty refined thought, that you think you're slowing down by using the mouse, but it turns out that you sort of are. You have to, your hands are on the keyboard, and I think if you're a programmer, you really should be a touch typist. We'll get into that some other day, but moving your hands off the keyboard, you're basically cutting your words per minute in half, basically. And so moving your hands off the keyboard is something that will slow you down. Even though the mouse brings an incredible amount of utility. Don't get me wrong, I'm not somebody who says avoid using the mouse. Although I remember being introduced to, I can't remember that tiling window manager, i3, I think, where you don't use the mouse, you just use keyboard shortcuts to move windows around. I'm not that extreme, but I do understand that point of view of, hey, I got to use the mouse. That's a drag. So you're scrolling up and down through all this content and your scroll history, and you can't use your fingers. Now, on the Mac and on Windows, there are a lot of cool peripherals now. Namely the touchpad and the mouse and the wheeled mouse. So it's easier to deal with moving your hand off the keyboard, because you get some pretty fine movement when you move your hands off the keyboard. But I remember him making that comment. I remember thinking, yeah, you're right. It is a little bit of a jar to move your hands off the keyboard. So what can you do to avoid that? Well, turns out with tmux, they have this thing called copy mode. And copy mode is a mode where if you let's do this again. If I go back to here and I'll just kill this one. Nope. Kill this pane, and I'll just grab these outputs again. Yeah, so here, and htop. What's this next one? Tree projects. I think I did a. I don't know how many I grabbed from here. Like, that should be enough. And then yeah, pwd ls home prod pictures. So copy mode is the start of the copy paste mechanism in tmux. And copy mode is entered using Control B and the left bracket. So Control B and the left bracket. Now, I think for this one, I think what I'm going to do is just turn on the let me just turn on this preference here. So I'll exit this mode, and if I do Control B and the left bracket, which is that thing there that you saw, this key here, I'm going to do it again. Control B and then this. What you see is this counter here, and I've since learned that this is known as the position counter. When you're at the position counter, you're actually in this mode of tmux called copy mode, where you can then use your normal keys, your up, down, left, right, to scroll all up and down your entire history. And I happen to have VI mode, so what I can do to scroll up and down my history is to use the VI keys. So I can go up using Control U. I can go all the way to the top of my buffer using lowercase g. This is as far as I go, and you can see that here in the position counter. I'm at the last position, 1966, but I can use capital G to go down to the end of the buffer. So if I press capital G, I'm back down here to the beginning. Copy mode is I'm going to switch to another screen. I want to talk about this in a bit. Is discussed closely here in the tmux man page. I'm just going to go to it, man tmux, and just bear with me on these letters here. If I go to bind keys, is it bind keys? Bind keys section. You can go and read the tmux manual page. They have a lot of information on how to bind keys. But when you install tmux, you have default bindings. And when you've installed my configuration, which I've mentioned in episode, I think 2 of this series, and it's available here on this playlist, you know that I'm using the VI keys. The one thing that I've learned while preparing for this is that you can display these keys. So you can do bind, you can do tmux bind keys. I think, no, it's tmux list keys. So I'm going to do this, and you see a whole bunch of keys. Now, when you read the bind keys section of tmux, you realize that this -t root business is an important piece here, and I'm just going to find it in the man page. Man tmux. Yeah, the root. When you read about bind keys, you find that there are these key tables that characters belong to. There's the root table, but there's also, if I go up this thing, there's also the prefix table, which is whenever you type in Control B. But finally, there's also copy mode, specifically copy mode -VI. So you can look at all of these to see what you can do while you're in copy mode. So we can just do that. I just say grep copy mode VI. And how many are there? Hope you can see that. There's 84 key bindings. And to make it a little easier, because we know that this section is always the same, we can count those number of keys. I'll show you that in a minute. We can count these and see that this is basically 28 characters. So basically after character 28 is the information of the keys that are in copy mode. So you can then do something like this. Cut -28. Here, in fact, it's probably easier, cut -29 and then cat -n. And you could get a listing of the keys that are available when you're in copy mode VI. And when you're in copy mode VI, one of the things you'll see is, what was that? Here, this G business, history top. What you'll also find is capital G. Go to the history bottom. H, M, and L, which is the top line, bottom line, middle line. H, M, and L. H, M, and L all move just like they do in VI. Now, I haven't gone through all of these keys. I'm a strong VI user, but I certainly don't know all of these different keys. But it's very powerful to be able to move through your entire history using the keyboard shortcut. It's as if you were running your shell inside of an editor. Now, I think this is the part where people who are Emacs users will come back and say, hey, Rick, remember that time when everybody ran their shells inside of Emacs? And I remember that mode, MetaX shell, and it's exactly that kind of powerful capability that you get in tmux without the burden, without the challenges of learning Emacs. So that's a brief word on copy mode. Namely, you can go up through your history. You can use G. You can go down through your history, Control D. You can even search for your prompt. If you do a slash, and then this is a regular expression now, to find my prompt. No, it's actually this one. That's my prompt, the % with a space. So if I do that, these are all my prompts right here. So you can see I have not, well, you can't see, but I have not moved my hands from the keyboard, and it's pretty cool to be able to navigate again your entire window history using just the VI keys. Now, change this to Emacs if you use the Emacs mode, but again, I use the VI keys. Yeah, here's the copy mode command. In fact, I'll put that here into the into our little chat. I don't know what that's going to look like, and but this little shortcut will let you look at all the keys. I share this shortcut because I thought you could get all these things when you do Control B and question mark, but it turns out you don't. These are just keys that pertain to when you're in the prefix mode. I wonder if when you're in here and do Control B question mark, no, it's still the same. So this is, though, a powerful mechanism that comes with tmux, and that is when you're in copy mode VI, you can treat your entire window history a big gigantic VI buffer. Now, I've already shown a number of these things here, but I do have this one thing here. You notice that when you scroll up in your history, you only go so far. Why? Because in order for tmux to know how far back to go, it needs to keep all of it in memory. And you get to choose how much memory, how many lines you get to save in the history by using history limit. So there's this command here, tmux show options history limit, tmux show options -G history limit, and you see the output here. It shows that it's 2000. I'm going to close this here. I'm also going to put this in the back. You can of course increase that if you think, well, I'm doing a lot of crazy things. I think I'll set it to 10,000. Now, for your terminal, you of course have preferences, so you can, for Ocean, say that the limit is, it says 10,000, but I don't think that's Yeah, scroll back is limit to available memory or limit number of rows. Now, limit to available memory, that's one good setting. But with tmux, I think you want to be judicious, but I've not run it with more than 2000. In fact, this was my first time to learn about this command, show options, and I realized, oh, I only can go back 2000. And I found that here in this post. I'll go to this. Oh. If I go to this browser, this is how to go and figure out what your tmux configurations are. Namely, there's Control B and then show options. But what I like is that you can also do this directly using the tmux command, tmux show options. That's really cool. And to maybe save you a trip into the tmux manual page, -G shows the global settings. There's also global window settings where you have also different settings. So you can change that number from 2000 to a high number, and then you have the ability to navigate through your entire terminal history using just the keyboard, which is, in my mind, that's super powerful. You can also clear your history. If I go here to here, if I do Control bracket to see the history, you can see I have 1,840 lines saved up in here. But if I do G to go to the very top, you can see that I was looking at some plist file. But if I go to tmux clear history, if I now do Control B bracket, I no longer have any history. I can't go back. And that's something that I think is also interesting, because wait a minute, I have a scroll bar, but when you're using tmux, the scroll bar becomes inactivated because tmux has taken over the screen. It runs using cursors. It treats the window as if it was a buffered display as opposed to this line-oriented display. That's as best as I can describe it. I have not looked at the tmux internals yet. But the key is that you can clear history. And maybe if you had 10,000 items in there and you found your terminal was going maybe a little slower, or maybe it's taking up a lot of space, you may want to go ahead and clear it. Let's see. Now, I like this here. As I mentioned, G goes to the very top, capital G goes to the very bottom, H, M, and L, and P toggles what I call the position numbering. I put the face because I don't know why you'd ever toggle it off. This is the toggle that we're talking about here. Let me go back to this one, which has some history. If I go through this history, it's this P that they're talking about. So if I'm in copy mode and I press P, or is it Control? Maybe capital P. Yeah. So if I press capital P, that little position toggle is turned off. But again, why would you turn that off? It's very helpful to know where you are. And I mean, I wish that in tmux you could do something like, let me see if this works. Oh boy, I even forgot my muscle memory on this. Yeah. I wish that in tmux VI mode you can do set number to all of a sudden display line numbers. It would be pretty cool if you could all of a sudden get line numbers going in tmux. In fact, let's just do a quick man to be sure that that isn't anywhere in here. Number. Just want to check to see if maybe the word number is here with line numbers. Okay, it doesn't seem to be when I search for the word number. This could be a really compelling pull request if somebody were to contribute to tmux. Get the fine author of tmux, Nicholas Marriott, to consider that. That would be pretty cool if he put that in. I can imagine it being like capital N, and you could see line numbers, for example. But capital P turns the position marker on and off, which I thought was a pretty cool piece of trivia. So within copy mode, I already showed this, the apple up and down. Within copy mode, you can search. I think that's also another compelling thing. In the terminal here, say you were searching for all of the .ts files. You can't, or at least I don't know how you can. Let's see. Maybe there's something here. Oh, maybe there is. Navigate. Nope. Marks. No. I'm learning how to use the Mac terminal. But yeah, I don't seem to see a way to search. You can export text. What does that do? I'm going to export the text of this terminal. Yeah, terminal saved output. I'll go to it. I'll go to it in here. Even terminal saved output. How many characters are in there? Oh, good, 4,983. And here's my entire session. So that's not so bad. This is sort of what we're looking for in this is sort of what you get in tmux. And if you wanted to search for all the ones that had like .t.ts, you can then do this. This is not bad. And if you then you can also grep through it too. So yeah, then you can add the count. So there's some utility that you get with the terminal that you kind of have to work at in tmux. But in tmux, because you have the ability in copy mode to search, you get a lot of this. You get most of what I just did here, minus saving it to a file. So here, limited only by your history, you can do Control B, copy mode, and then question mark. Here you see you can search up, and then you can do the dot. What was I doing? I already forgot what I was searching for. .d.ts. So here, you can see I'm doing searches. Pretty cool. And again, no saving to a file, no fuss or muss. This is all within tmux. Again, to me, this is extremely compelling capabilities. The one thing that is also cool is while you're searching, you see I'm searching up, you can also toggle the search to go down. If I press slash, I can search down, and I think it's is it? There's a way to reverse this. Yeah, searching up. I'm searching up, but there's a way to search downwards and upwards and toggle in the direction. Let's figure that out using our command thing here. These keys. Is it toggle? Yeah, search backwards, search forward, and jump reverse. Let me do search. Maybe it's search reverse, search again. That's pretty cool, but we already knew that. I may be remembering something else then. Let me do that search one more time. Search again, or okay. I think it's that minus capital N. So if I do wait, if I go here, DTS. So I'm searching this way, but if I do Shift N, yeah, no. Shift N goes, okay, I see what's happening. If you do N, you're searching in the original direction, but if you do Shift N, you're searching in the forward direction, the opposite direction. So it's, to me, again, it's compelling. Clearly, I didn't know that off the top of my fingers, but with practice, when you start thinking, I think I know that tmux can do this, you look it up, you do it a few times, and your fingers do remember this motion, and it becomes muscle memory. Soon you'll be installing tmux on every system that you run a terminal. It's very compelling. So you have the ability to do searches. Yeah, these were the commands that we were looking at earlier. Yeah, I see now. This was displaying the prefix commands. Okay, so that's something you can do on your own. We're getting up to 40 minutes, so I am going to press on and just do maybe the paste thing, and then I'll leave the buffer list and session management for an episode 7. When we did this example, we did basic copying using the mouse. We press down the left mouse button, we drag, we highlight an area, and then we do copy. We go to another window, we put it into a file. Here we don't care what the file is, and then we do paste. And it's cool that you can do that, but again, oh my goodness, we're moving the hands off the keyboard. So to prevent that from happening, tmux of course has the ability to select while you're inside of copy mode. To do that, you can say, for example, you wanted to select all these parser files, prettier. You can do space. When you press space, you're immediately in select mode. You can press down to collect the lines that you want, and then when you press enter, it saves it. into a paste buffer. To paste that paste buffer, again, I'm going to put it into dev null, but you do Control B and then the right bracket. And that's what you pasted. So when you're in copy mode, you can start a selection and copy it into a paste buffer. And once you've put it into that paste buffer, you can then paste the contents of that buffer into any place that you want, which is really cool. Now you don't have to do scrolling with your hands, then moving your hands, putting it on the mouse, and doing this dragging it. It's so that's so 70s. We have tmux now. We don't need to do that. We can use the power of VI or the power of Emacs. Emacs is very powerful with the Emacs keys, but you can do these things with just your fingers. So that's the power of tmux with regards to selections. And we also talked about the pasting. I'm going to last leave you now with this, which is rectangle mode. One thing you can't do with the regular terminal is, say you just want to capture a square of these files. You really can't do that. You have to grab whole lines instead. I'm pretty sure you can't do that, and I'm going to see if you can. Select between marks. Mark and send return. Yeah, so let me see if I can do it this way. If I do this, if I click here and press mark, I don't know if I do this and press mark. Well, suffice to say, I don't know how marks work in navigate to previous mark. Yeah. Oh no, that's the it just marked the prompt. So let's go back. Reset. Say you just wanted to capture just these file names. You don't need this extra space. You can't do that with terminals. Maybe with iTerm 2 you can. If that's the case, please tell me. Then I'll go buy another copy of it. But with tmux you can. If you go into the copy mode, again, Control B in bracket, you see the position marker here. You then use your VI keys to position yourself, and then you press V to begin copying into what is known as rectangle mode. So you saw that I press V to get out of rectangle mode. What does that mean? So that means if you press space now, you're going to capture things by a line. But if you press the letter V, V is in victory, you go into rectangle mode. And here you can just grab just this block of characters without all of this white space here, and you press enter and you can save it to your buffer. Then you can paste that buffer using Control B and then the right bracket. Now that's pretty cool, and that's something that I've not seen the terminal do. If the terminal can do this, maybe I'll try to figure it out. But when I discovered rectangle mode, which is really only in the last couple of weeks, it was pretty, I wouldn't say, I don't know, maybe life-changing is too strong a word, too strong a statement, but it was quite something to be able to just grab the specific lines that I want. So that's That's copying, selecting, and pasting using tmux. I went on for a while here, so I appreciate you taking a look at this video. I am going to talk about the paste buffers and sessions in the upcoming 7th video of this series, and you can look forward to that over the next couple of days. Again, I thank you for checking this out. Thank you so much, and we'll see everybody the next time around.